Alright, ladies and gentlemen, ducks of all ages, today we have my updated Season 1.5 tier list for all of the heroes and Marvel rivals. I just want to say that this tier list is based in the higher ranks, so Eternity and up, so it might be a little bit different to your own, mainly due to the fact that the picks and bans might be a little bit different. Like the video if you like it, and subscribe if you're new, as it's one of the best ways to help me out. But without further ado, let's dive straight in. Beginning with the tank category, this video is the same layout as all my other tier lists, so tank category first, and of course we're starting with Doctor Strange. Now, Doctor Strange is an interesting character right now. I think he's still a strong pick due to the bans of other tanks, but I don't think he's a go-to tank for every composition now. Sure, he still remains powerful and can do a lot of damage, and his ultimate is pretty good, but I don't think he's the scariest tank anymore. Mainly due to the fact that you have Magneto in the game, and Magneto is literally the answer to everything, so I don't think Doctor Strange is S anymore. I think I'm safe in putting him A. People can argue that he's still S, but you have Magneto in the game. There's just like no reason why you shouldn't be picking Magneto over Doctor Strange. Sure, you can portal off spawns, but it's just not worth it in my opinion. I mean, you can run both if you want to, but Magneto is just way too good. So moving down the list, our next tank is Hulk. Now, Hulk has fallen off, but I still think he's being slept on. He's a very solid pick, and you've even seen him picked in the MRI by FlyQuest, which he did perform pretty well. It's just the fact that the second you're out of Hulk, you're a sitting duck, you're an easy pick. Bruce Banner doesn't really do anything. Of course, there's those Bruce Banner mains out there. Trust me, I vouch for you guys, but still in high level play, he's just not the best. Again, you have Magneto, you have Groot. Way better picks than Hulk. With that being said, his synergy with Iron Man is still very good, but it isn't as critical anymore. And while he's still viable, he's outshined by other tanks like Venom, like I said, that say I'd still rank him above Thor. But with that being said, I would still put him in the A category. Like, I still think he's good, don't get me wrong. To move him to S, he has to do more damage, or have something more to his overall kit. Maybe his health pool increase, something like that. Maybe his ult's a little bit better. If I want to move him to B, I think he has to be nerfed, and I don't think you should nerf this character. I think he's fine where he is. I wish he was played a little bit more, because he is definitely a very interesting character. So I think A is a perfectly fine spot. Moving down the list, we have Magneto, and across the board, Magneto is hands down the best tank in the entire game right now, and you really can't argue against it. He slots into multiple team compositions seamlessly, including the Groot Mag, Venom Mag, and Thing Mag. While solo tanking isn't particularly strong in this patch, Magneto can still do it in this patch. Again, not comfortably, but he can do it. His ultimate has become an incredible, versatile tool. Players have mastered it to the point where it's consistent, eliminates the support. More recently, it's even being used as a defensive counter to Starlord ult or Hela ult, any other of these DPS ults that can get absorbed. Now, this shift allows supports to save their ultimates while still securing a kill. Magneto is feared for good reason. He's absolutely S tier. There's no denying it. This character is insane. He probably needs to be nerfed, unfortunately. Now, when Season 2 rolls around, Magneto is probably going to be getting nerfed. I don't see why they wouldn't nerf him. I think he's okay where he is. Sure, he's strong with his ultimate. He does a lot of damage for a tank. Does he deserve a huge nerf? Maybe not. Does he need some type of nerf? Probably. But for right now, he's S tier. Moving down the list, we have Thor. And personally, I think Thor is struggling. I don't think he's that good right now, mainly due to the fact of what the meta currently is. You have to have a Magneto. Playing Magneto with Thor isn't necessarily the best team. I think having Magneto, Venom, Thing, Groot is just 20 times better than Magneto Thor. So I don't think it's enough to justify picking him over any of those characters. And he doesn't really bring that much to the table, although people can argue that he does act as an off tank, a DPS, a flanker, whatever you want to call him. But the current meta, I don't think it allows this character to really shine. I don't want to put him C because I don't think he deserves to be there, so I think putting him at B is safe, although people can argue whatever they want. That's just my opinion. And Groot is arguably the strongest tank in the game, like Magneto, but I give a slight edge to Magneto due to his versatility. However, Groot is a borderline must-pick status. His synergy with Bucky, Namor, Starlord, any of these high DPS characters is just particularly devastating. all of his synergy, multiple defensive abilities, and a ton of damage. It's like a duelist with extra damage. It's like a duelist with extra health. Groot is a must pick. So putting him in S makes sense. Moving on, we have Penny Parker. Now, Penny has a small niche, moving her up from C tier instead of D tier, so that's nice. And I will say that triple tank spawn hold strategy gives her a purpose in specific scenarios, like the map Midtown, where she shines pretty heavily. Like I said, on certain maps, she can play a defensive role by setting up mines and protecting the backline, while tanks like Groot and Magneto hold the front. This allows her to function as a utility pick, but outside of that, she struggles to find value. Now, people can argue, oh, she has the highest win rate, she has this, she has that. Well, yes, she might have the highest win rate because so little people play her, and the people that actually are playing her know pretty much how to use her, so she should be winning. But for the most part, in the current meta, why would I pick Penny when I can have a Mag Groot? That's kind of like my opinion. Like I said, there's the small niche where she excels. People might see her as S or an A. But again, Mag, Groot, Venom, Thing, Doctor Strange, Hulk, Thor, why would I pick Penny over all these tanks? It just doesn't make sense to me. So I think putting her as C tier is fair, at least from my point of view. Of course, your point of view might be different, which is perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that. At the end of the day, this tier list is just showing what I think. Now, Captain America. I genuinely believe Captain America players are some of the most skilled in the game. For the most part, I would say. The sheer amount of space they can create while surviving against the odds is impressive, especially considering Cap's relatively low damage output. That being said, I have to be realistic. Right now, he just doesn't fit into the meta, unfortunately. Several viable tank compositions dominating the game, Cap struggles to find his place. And if you have a character like the Thing who can completely shut down these highly mobile characters, it's gonna be rough playing this character. So with that being said, I think I have to put him C tier. I don't feel comfortable putting him anywhere else, generally. Alright, moving on, we have Venom, and I believe Venom is a A tier pick. He's not a universal viable tank, but in the right composition and matchups, he can absolutely dominate. Now, one of the biggest shifts in the meta has been the fall of Spider-Man era, largely because teams have realized that banning Venom completely shuts down Spidey-based compositions. If Venom is off the table, Spider-Man loses a lot of his viability, entirely making Venom one of the most influential picks in the game right now. And if you know you're playing against a good Spider-Man player, then you're probably banning Venom so they lose that team-up ability, where that team-up, even if it might be a little bit more beneficial, you remove that team-up, it's not going to be fun for Spider-Man currently in the meta. Now, when it comes to the Thing, he sits between S and A. He's a very solid tank, but if you have Groot in the match, you can't play the Thing, as Groot is one of the Thing's biggest counters. That being said, if Groot is banned, the Thing can shine. So I think putting him S is fair, because he does counter a lot of these tanks if Groot is banned. He does counter Venom, he counters these dive tanks, which is nice. He counters dive characters, which is also very nice currently. So I think it's a very solid option. Moving on, we have Black Panther. I believe he's mid-tier. The dive meta hasn't been as dominant as expected, leaving him in a weird spot. A skilled Black Panther can still execute devastating hit and run tactics, but his effectiveness is limited to organized play. In ranked, he can be decent, but in tournament settings, he's not strong picked. And of course, if you're playing the Thing, if you're playing Namor, Black Panther can't play the game, so putting him B is fine, especially in a higher tier play. Even if you have an incredible Black Panther player, even if you can play into a Namor, statistically speaking, if you play into Namor Thing and a Magneto, it's kind of like impossible to play from what I've seen, so I think it's fine. So Black Widow. I think Black Widow drops a tier from B to C, mainly due to the fact that the current meta is very tank heavy oriented, and it's going to be hard to get picks between a Magneto and a Groot, just blocking everything, and if you have a Venom constantly diving on you. That being said, in ranked play, she's very good still. Like, if you know how to play Widow in ranked, you can easily carry your games, probably. But when you look at a tournament setting, like the MRI or Marvel's or Fight Night, you can't pick her. It's just like a throw if you do. That being said, you could go for an early pick out of the Spawn Door and Convoy and Convergence with the Mantis boost to try to get one pick, then swap. Sure, you can do that, but playing into these tanks and just the characters that are being played, impossible, in my opinion. So I think putting RC is fine. Now, Hawkeye, probably my favorite DPS in this entire game. I think Hawkeye is actually insane. I think this character is Arguably one of the better DPS. I don't think he's S tier like he was back in season 0. I think putting him A is fine. You don't have to worry about 2 shields like Doctor Strange Magneto shields. Now you have to worry about, you know, Magneto Groot thing. But Hawkeye goes into Groot and thing relatively easy because the sheer amount of damage he can do with a full charge shot to both of them is very good. Groot has a large hitbox to the head. The thing has kind of a large hitbox to the head as well. Not as large as Groot, but still can easily shred him down. And if you're playing it into Starlord or Hela, playing Hawkeye can be good, but the thing is you have Hela, which dives directly into our next character, Hela. Boom. That's all that needs to be said. This character is also perma banned, pretty much. She's viable in every composition and game defying. She's honestly the best character in the game for like a duelist position. There's really no reason why she shouldn't be S. And why you place Hela above Hawkeye, because Hela can 2-tap anyone from across the map. Hawkeye has to charge up his shot, make sure he lands it because it's a projectile rather than a hit scan. Hela's hit scan, so if you have good aim, just play Hela and you win all your games. If you're in bronze and you have really good aim, you don't know game mechanics, you don't know macro, you don't know positioning, just pick Hela and you'll soar through the ranks, honestly. Once Hela starts getting banned on like Diamond, then you'll probably have to actually learn how to play the game. So, I mean, she's pretty... Even in pro play, she's either played or banned. There's no in between. If she's open, she's played. If she's banned, she's not played. I mean, pretty self-explanatory, but that's the status. Now, Iron Fist, I don't think this character is good at all. Even with the changes, I think the changes actually ruined this character. Even though he can be annoying to play into, if you understand how to play into an Iron Fist, this character becomes obsolete, useless. Okay, Iron Fist is blocking. Don't shoot him. Job's done. He can't do anything. Doesn't get extra health. Doesn't get more damage. Nothing like that. I think this character is complete garbage. I don't care. If you can argue, sure. But in my personal opinion, this character is just not good. Even in like higher ranks pro play, this character is never picked in pro play. Even though FlyQuest did pick this character, they got full held. The Iron Fist couldn't do anything. It's just not a good character. Iron Man is a flying character. Yes. Hela is meta. That's not good for Iron Man. Hawkeye is good. That's not good. You can pick Starlord. Way better than Iron Man. Virtually the same impact. Pick Namor. He's better. There's just so many characters that are way better than Iron Man, but I don't think he's terrible. I don't think he's Iron Fist or anything. I think middle of the pack is fine. Same position as like Black Panther, middle of the pack. Can be good, can be bad. They're not terrible, but they're not amazing. So I think putting him in the middle is fine. Now Magik. I think Magik is a slept on character, and she is one of the highest win rate characters in the game. A skilled Magik player can completely take over a match and be unkillable if she coordinates her abilities right, lands the hits, gets that extra HP. So I think putting her A tier is perfectly fine. But I do believe she's super underutilized. I think she can be amazing. Even in pro play, we've seen her a bit, and the Magik has done work. I think she's solid. I have to keep going back to this. You have a Hela to worry about. That's the thing. Now, Moon Knight. I'm making F tier. Moon Knight, making F tier, putting Moon Knight F tier. This character is terrible. His movement is slow, his damage can be pretty underwhelming, and people have figured out how to counter him easily. Shoot the Ankh, don't stay close together, and Moon Knight can't do anything. His ultimate isn't as good as it was. Honestly, I think they should have kept the ultimate. I don't care how cheese it was. That means when his ultimate was good, people actually picked this character. This character's not good. Everybody knows how to counter him. And yes, he can counter a character like Namor. Play Namor regardless. And put your turrets on the walls away from yourself so you can actually get the full use out of them. So Namor, I think Namor sits between S and A. I think Namor is an insane pick. But I just feel like you have Hela who kind of does what Namor does, but just a lot better. Is that weird to think that? I mean, the whole reason why you play Namor is to get the one shot with Luna, with her damage amp when she ults. But the thing is, if Luna's banned, then this character isn't as strong as he once was because you lose that damage amp. So I think putting him A is fine. I think, but realistically, I think he sits between S and A. I lean to A if Luna is banned. If Luna is not banned, then he's S. That's why I think putting him in between or just A is perfectly fine. For right now, people can argue. But I think my point is valid. So I think sitting him A is perfectly fine. So Psylocke. I think Psylocke is still a very strong pick, but for some reason people have started sleeping on her all of a sudden. It's unclear exactly what caused this shift, but there are a few possible explanations. It could be that she was indirectly affected by the nerfs to the dive compositions, making her less prominent in certain strategies. Another factor could be the nerf to her ultimate, which slightly reduced her overall impact. However, despite these changes, she still, in my opinion, remains incredibly strong. She's definitely in a weird spot. And I would say it's a lot harder to play because of the res comp strategy. You're running 3 healers. So it can be rather annoying to play into. But overall, I think she still does amazing damage. I think she's still really good. I don't think she's S. I think putting her A tier is fine. Like, I still think she's good. If 3 healers wasn't, or the res comp, more exactly, wasn't so strong, I think she could be S tier. But I think because res comp is so strong, putting her A. Scarlet Witch. This character, huh? I put Scarlet Witch D. While there are always a few specialist players who can make her work at a high level, she is generally in the same boat as some other heroes. She's playable but highly impractical. The recent buff to her ultimate was a welcome improvement, but it wasn't enough to push her up the ranks. The main issue with Scarlet Witch is that she simply doesn't exert the same kind of pressure as any other high burst DPS character. Sustained damage heroes without strong mobility often struggle in the current meta, and Scarlet Witch is no exception. And yes, because you're having a Magneto, having the Scarlet Witch is nice. But again, look at all these other duelists you can pick instead of Scarlet Witch that just do their job 20 times better. I think putting her D is perfectly fine, in my opinion. But of course, there's always going to be the one tricks that think this character is completely broken or super strong, so they'll pay some S, A, B. But in my opinion, I think D is fine. Now, Spider-Man. Spider-Man, where do we put him? I think B. Drop him from A to B. He's not necessarily weak. He isn't as dominant as some initially expected. There was a lot of hype surrounding a potential dive-heavy Spider-Man meta, but in reality, he has struggled to establish himself as a top-tier DPS. And if Venom gets banned, you lose that team of ability, which is incredibly strong for Spider-Man players. And then you have to think you're going against Namor, Hawkeye, Hela, Magik, Psylocke. You're going against all these other duelists that are just way better. So I think picking Spider-Man is this bad. Again, in the current meta, Eternity ranked in the up, and looking at pro play. Sure, you can do Venom Spider-Man stuff, but most of the time Venom is banned, so that makes Spider-Man a lot weaker. Moving on, we have Squirrel Girl, and I think she's good in certain situations. Like, the situations have to be perfect. Thrives against solo tank setups or compositions with weaker healing, where her ability to spam damage and apply pressure can be surprisingly effective. But you have to understand, she needs the right map, the right comp, and the right circumstances to truly shine. Even when the conditions are favorable, I think I placed her C. Like, she's alright. She isn't bad. So moving on, Starlord, there's no debate. He's one of the best duelists in the entire game. Alongside Hela, if there's a S+, he would be S+. Like, come on. Starlord's ability to generate ultimate charge from his E ability is absurd, giving him an insane amount of uptime on his ultimate. That's why he's so picked. And he has the triple res comp, which is a staple, which is the current meta, the triple res. So putting him S is perfectly fine. Now Storm. I will say Storm has fallen off considerably, mainly due to the fact that she got nerfed and shifts in the meta. While she was previously dominant, her popularity has plummeted. What's the main reason? You have this character right here. She's a flying character. You will have a hit scan that 2-taps anybody to the head. So it's kind of a no-brainer to play Hela. Or It's a no-brainer not to play Storm into a Hela, rather just ban the Hela. I think she's B tier. I think putting her B tier is perfectly fine. Although, don't get me wrong, I still enjoy Hela. I still think she's a very strong hero in the right hands. It's just, you have to worry about a Hawkeye, you have to worry about Hela, you have to worry about Starlord. There's just so many factors you have to worry about. Even though it's nice having Storm, unfortunately, the time has come. It's the Hela meta again, so flying characters are kind of obsolete. That's just how it goes. Now Now Punisher's a safe pick. He can be super effective, but isn't necessarily a must pick like he was back in the betas, where it was like the Bucky, Winter Soldier, Rocket team up, which is literally the meta. I think he remains a solid B tier hero because he's reliable. His kit's good. When you have the team up with Rocket, he can output a ton of damage. His ultimate can be good, but you have to have a mag bubbling you, otherwise you just die to the other mag. He can shred a lot of the Strategist ultimates, so B tier is fine for me. Safe in the middle. Winter Soldier, Bucky, S in between S and A. I think Winter Soldier has shot up in priority due to bans on Starlord and Hela in the higher ranks. As a result, he's become one of the most played DPS characters in the high level matches. Initially, some players underestimated Bucky, but his effectiveness has become undeniable. He pairs exceptionally well with Groot, and his massive bullet size allows him to deal consistent splash damage in corridors. What I mean by a massive magazine or bullet size, even though he has 3 shots use an ability, insta reload, 3 shots ability, insta reload, does splash damage, does a ton of damage in corridors. But again, you're only playing this character mainly due to the fact that Hela and Starlord gets banned, and when you have the team up with Rocket, he can become very strong. I still think, even without the Rocket team up, he's incredible. Does he need a buff? That's the question. In comparison to Hela, I think Hela needs the nerf. If you could choose one or the other, I'd rather have Hela nerfed than Winter Soldier. Not because I play Winter Soldier, but sheerly to the fact that Hela does just too much damage. 2 tapping from across the map makes no sense in my opinion. So if I could choose Hela or Winter Soldier to get banned, I would always choose Hela. I think Winter Soldier, maybe some of his damage should be adjusted, maybe a little bit nerfed. I think that's fair and fine. But again, I think Hela is just way too strong. Wolverine, still S tier. He's still easily S tier, but with an interesting dynamic in terms of bans. If your team has Groot, you want to ban Wolverine. If you don't have Groot, you actually want to ban Groot instead and leave Wolverine open, forcing the enemy into counterable matchups. Trust me, playing Wolverine into Groot is amazing. If you don't have a Groot player on your team, ban Groot. Groot is insanely strong right now, and people might be wondering, why are we banning Groot in ranked? Well, it's because he's such a strong tank currently. And if you ban Groot, you can easily play Wolverine. But of course, there's some things to, mention or think about is, now, if you leave Wolverine open and you are playing the thing in mag and they do a mirror, while yes, Wolverine is countered by those 2 heroes, he still does that percentage-based damage on the health, so he can still shred the thing in Magneto even if they bubble and can't get kidnapped. Let's talk about the Human Torch. I think he's better than people think. But again, with Hela Starlord, you have to worry about that. He does a ton of damage still. I think he has a ton of potential. For right now, I'm placing him B. I think that's a safe place. He can do a ton of damage, so it could bump him up. Or we could see more counters come into play and he gets knocked down a tier. I think right now, currently, there's not a ton of players who fully grasp what the character is capable of. So I think putting him in the median or the middle is perfectly fine, because we don't really have an answer just how good he can be played. For our last DPS, Mr. Fantastic, once a solid pick, but now rarely seen, the balance changes didn't do him any favors and he's struggling to find a place in the meta. You have other tanks that you can pick. I think he's D. You have Groot, you have Mag, you have Thing, you have Doctor Strange, you have all the other tanks to pick besides Mr. Fantastic. And you have way better duelists to pick than this character. I think sacrificing a duelist or a vanguard to pick Mr. Fantastic doesn't really make sense, in my opinion. But of course, everybody has their own opinions, which is perfectly fine. Now we go to the Strategist. Now Adam Warlock, I think he's extremely good, especially after the buffs in Season 1.5. The Guardians team up is incredible, and you have to have Adam Warlock if you want that, as he is the anchor. He does a good amount of damage. He acts kind of like another Duelist. Now, I don't think he's S. I don't think he's S at all, because he lacks in other aspects. But I think putting him A is perfectly fine. I think this character is great. So putting him here is really good. Now, Cloak and Dagger. Is it crazy to me that I don't think this character is good anymore? I might be a little bit crazy and I might make people mad. I just don't think this character is good. I don't know why. Like, when you think about it, you have Loki, Luna, and Viz. All of these Strategist ultimates are 20 times better than Cloak and Dagger. And I would even argue that Rocket's ultimate is better than Cloak and Dagger's. But I guess if you have these heroes banned, you would pick Cloak and Dagger, so you could bump her up. The blind is nice. I don't like putting them A though. If anything, I would put them between A and B. A and B. Between. So A minus, B plus. I'll put it there so it looks even. But what do you think about Cloak and Dagger? Let me know in the comments down below. That's what I think. A minus, B plus, in between. Perfectly fine. Now, Joff the Land Shark. I think he's fine. Like, I think he's middle of the pack, B. You can play him as a strategist, you can play him as a duelist, you can play him as a flanker. This character is pretty annoying. You can play him without a Luna, but just playing him with Luna is just 20 times better. But the thing is, if you're playing Joff, you have to run triple strategist, because the solo heal can't do anything if this character is flanking. That's why it's... If you ever wondered why people get so mad at you picking Joff, it's because someone on your team is forced to play a strategist that maybe they don't play. For instance, maybe a duelist has to swap to a strategist because you want to play Joff, because you have to have that other healing. That's why a lot of people don't like Joff players. And that's not just coming from me, that's because someone has to flex in order for you to get a lot of value out of Joff if you are playing DPS Joff. Now, Loki is S tier. No matter what anyone says, I've always thought this since Season 0 and the betas. I always thought this character was incredible. Mainly due to the fact because of his lamp ability. His lamp is essentially Luna Snow's ultimate, but you can use it wherever, and it will protect you from a mag ultimate. A lot of people still don't know that it protects you from pretty much every ultimate in the entire game, with, of course, some few exceptions. But if you know how to use the lamp properly, you pretty much should never actually get eliminated to any of the major ultimates in the game. But sometimes it can be a little difficult playing Mag. Sometimes it may be a little difficult playing Loki when there's a Winter Soldier on the other team, mainly because he can reset off of your clones. So just knowing where to put your clones in certain positions, you need to learn that so Winter Soldier doesn't get a ton of value, or maybe move the clone last second when he's about to jump onto it. But otherwise, he's S. Luna Snow, S. I think she has the most healing in the game. I could be wrong, but you get healing and damage from her ultimate. She has the snowflake, so she can heal 2 people at once. A ton of healing, a ton of damage. I could be wrong though. I'm not sure if she has the most healing in the game, but she's up there. Now Mantis, I think Mantis is a good healer, especially in the current meta of the res comp. So you're running Adam Warlock Mantis with an Invis or a Luna Snow. So I think Mantis there is fine. She can do a lot of damage, but you have to be landing those critical shots so you can get the passive built back up. That's something you have to remember. Rocket. Where do I place Rocket? I think Rocket's amazing. I think this character is actually insane. People hate on Rocket all they want. I think this character is like one of the best healers in the game. I don't care what anybody says. People still in solo queue don't know how to effectively use Rocket. Even if you're top 500 Rocket player, people still don't understand how to play this character. When you actually watch pro play and they use Rocket, you understand why this character is so insane. Mainly due to the fact that his BRB literally brings a person back every 45 seconds. So if you get an early pick onto the enemy, they easily get res. This character is insane. Like, you don't need defensive ults 24/7. The only time you really need to have 2 defensive ults is when the other team is running that. And I still think Rocket's insane. He can do a ton of damage. His ultimate is very good. It does that extra damage. Although maybe it could be tweaked a little bit. That's debatable. But overall, I think this character is good. I hate when people think he's terrible. Now, on the other hand, if you're not doing damage as Rocket and healing, then we need to talk. Now Invis is S. Incredible healing, ton of utility, ton of versatility. This character is insane. Her ultimate's good. The character's good. That's all I can really say. If Luna Snow is banned, you play Invis. That's pretty much how it goes. Or you run both if you so desire, but typically you run like a Loki. If Loki's banned, then you run Luna Snow Invis. But anyways, that's my tier list for season 1.5 updated. If you enjoyed this video or want to see more, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. It greatly helps me out. And if you skip to the end of the video to see the tier list, go back. I explain all of my picks in depth so you get a better understanding. Again, this is all in my opinion, and this is the perspective of a higher ranked player, say Eternity. And we're talking and looking at Eternity, top 500, and pro play to make this tier list. So if that's what you're wondering. Yeah, I hope you have a great and safe day, and I'll catch you in the next one.